Thank you so much for joining us today. This is the Fort Collins Symphony guest artist interview. My name is Jeremy Cuevas, and I'm here with guest pianist Bryan Wallick. Bryan, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
So we just had a couple questions leading up to your appearance with Fort Collins Symphony on November 6th. So just to get started, could you give us a quick overview of who you are and what you do?
Ooh, all right. Let's keep this short. Well, I'm Bryan Wallick, and I'm the new professor of piano here at Colorado State. I took this job about 2 years ago, just before the world shut down with COVID. So luckily I got moved in just before everything shut down. We bought a house about 3 weeks before, so we had plenty of time to move in and get organized. But anyway, I've been here for about 2 years. And so I teach over here at CSU. Meanwhile, I'm also happy to be back in the United States. I was in South Africa for about 12 years. I was in London 5 years before that. It's great to be back in the US, and I'm trying to build my concert career back here as well. So being here is a little easier than flying from South Africa, which is a long 30-hour flight every time I wanted to play a concert. Now I've got a 2 or 3 hour flight, which is So that's what I'm doing. So I'm teaching here and I'm playing as much as I can. And one of the next things on the docket is the Fort Collins Symphony.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just a couple of days after this comes out. And what did you spend your pandemic time doing?
Well, I've got 3 kids, so I'm quite busy with the family at home. And in many ways, it was great to be home and get to spend a lot of time with the kids. In many ways, that can drive you insane. So I was one of the lucky few that had essential status here at the university. So I was allowed to come into school and practice. So and it was a nice opportunity because one of the new pianos in Griffin Concert Hall was new and it hadn't really been played in that much. And it needed to be played in. And so I worked with the technician for quite a few months. So I actually went and played on the new piano in Griffin Hall most days during the pandemic. So I practiced a lot too.
Oh, wow. Do new pianos usually have to be worn in like that? I didn't know that.
They do. There's machines that give the hammers how many thousands of hits to kind of break them in. But generally it still needs to be played, and the technicians need to voice and hear from artists what needs to be done or not be done. And Justin here, the technician, is really great and can fix and change absolutely anything. So we really changed the way that the whole thing's set up. But I don't know if we would have been able to do that if I didn't have the time to really play it and see and experiment. So it was a great opportunity to get that piano up and running. Yeah.
I've gotten to see Justin work a couple times preparing pianos for the big piano festival that happens every summer. And there's a depth to what he's doing there that I had no concept of as a violinist. I didn't know that, he was pricking the hammers and everything.
The way they set it up can make such a difference on, especially if you get a good one who knows how to just make everything voiced properly and beautifully. That you can do. So it's great to have him around, and he's working on these instruments all the time and making sure they're in great shape. So I'm very, very happy to be over here in Colorado.
Fantastic. And so next week you're performing the Mendelssohn First Concerto with us, and this less familiar piece, Grass, by Coleridge-Taylor Perkinson. What's your relationship with these two pieces? Have you performed them before?
I have. The Coleridge-Taylor Perkinson we played here at the university last semester. It was a piece that was able to be performed without winds because it's for strings and percussion. And at that point, we weren't allowed to have the winds on the stage. So it was a piece that worked, and we're trying to find works of underutilized composers, and so it's a fun, it's exciting, very interesting piece that is quite challenging in many ways. Rhythmically, it goes all over the place. So on the strings, I'm going to have to count a lot. I have to work out counting. The conductor's got to work out how he's going to beat everything to make it fit. But it's an exciting piece, and it should be a great sort of opener to the concert, and then moving on to the Mendelssohn, which is a great showpiece that shows the piano off very spectacularly, and has lots of beautiful melodies, but technical arpeggios all over the place. And it's a fun piece, and it'll be a nice contrast, to have both works together. You'll see very different sides of music, I think, on the first half.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the Mendelssohn is kind of a standard piano concerto, at least in sound. And then the Coleridge-Taylor Perkinson is very contemporary, but very a little bit rock and roll at times. I think it's very rhythmically dreamlent. I just absolutely love it.
A lot of rhythmic energy, and it's very accessible. I mean, it's not crazily. I mean, harmonically, it's still relatively not that adventurous beyond most people's ears. So it should be interesting to most people.
Absolutely. So you're both a performing professional pianist, absolutely, of course, but you're also teaching at CSU. Could you talk about some of the different challenges between those two jobs that you have?
Well, there's some challenges, maybe scheduling wise. At the moment, I'm in like a very busy sort of 2-month window of just a lot of concerts, a lot of different pieces. I mean, a lot of times you can have concerts, but it's the same pieces over and over again. It's not a problem. But I'm playing like 5 different programs over these 6 weeks. So trying to maintain everything and keep it up is a bit challenging, while still trying to teach 15 students and be involved at the university and have 3 kids at home and play taxi driver after school every day. So in that way, it can be challenging, and you just have to be organized with my schedule. Every week, I'd relook at what I need to practice, what I need to change, what's not quite there, what's ready. And scheduling can be difficult, but more than the challenge is, it's actually helpful to have teaching as part of your professional makeup, because I learn a lot from it. Even as a performer, after I've just been, shouting at my students to do this and do this and do this, I sit there as I'm practicing and realize I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. Just the way that I just explained it to them. So it reinforces a lot of the things that I mean to do when I'm practicing. And since I've just been exaggerating, demonstrating things, it helps me to do that in my own work as well. So I think they mutually help each other more, certainly much more than they maybe cause challenges, if I can say that.
Absolutely. What do you like to do before or after a concert? A lot of people have a ritual, or they'll go to a restaurant. What do you like to do?
Yeah, I wrote my doctoral paper was on sort of how concert pianists practice. And part of that is like, what is their routine before a concert? Because it is very important psychologically that you try to not disturb, whatever your method is for getting on stage and being in the right mindset to make beautiful music. Mm-hmm. If I've got 2 things to say about it. One, you want to have some sort of maybe a regular pattern, but 2, it mustn't be so regimented that it can't change, because every time it often might have to change. And when you're traveling or situations come up, or if you have to do this and you have to eat that and you have to be at this time, and then it just can't happen, then it can psychologically throw you. And so being able to realize you can play a concert no matter what the circumstance, that's the most important thing. But if you have your way, I generally like to get to the hall at least an hour before and be able to warm up for at least a half an hour, maybe more, depending. Like if it's just a concerto, you can warm up more. If it's a long recital, maybe you don't want to warm up too much because you might be tired at the end. And these are all things that you kind of find out from mistakes that went wrong. If you practice for 2 hours before a long recital and then you get to the second half and you're just finished. I've had that happen before. I've also been under-warmed up, and then you don't really feel comfortable for the first 15 minutes. Like the fine line of feeling comfortable but not exhausting yourself. Food wise is a big debate. A lot of people eat different things before concerts or not. I don't like to eat too much because I feel it just your body starts digesting food instead of sitting brain. So a lot of people eat banana. I'd usually try to have a banana. Supposedly it's a natural beta blocker that makes you a little bit nervous.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Yeah. So I eat bananas. They seem to work, I guess.
Yeah.
So
I used to sing in a choir, and the bananas are really good for your throat, apparently too.
yes.
So the choir director pulled off and sent one of the GAs into a Walmart and said, "Come back with 200 bananas."
Okay. Yeah, so bananas are great. I mean, I've had many things. I try to not have caffeine right before. Maybe in the middle, like at intermission, I can have caffeine. But like at the beginning, if you're a bit nervous and jittery, and then you get like a caffeine kick, then you can get some vibrato on the piano, which we don't really want. So, that's basically it. I try to have a routine, but that's flexible if it needs to be.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you have any funny stories from concerts or teachers or?
Oh, well, we there's a lot of people have page turning stories that are funny, and in this particular concert, I will play the first piece with an iPad just because it's very rhythmically complicated. And to try to memorize it is most definitely going to go wrong. And I've seen a lot of page turner things go very wrong. Or if you don't have a page turner, which is why I play from the iPad, which is generally pretty safe. The music goes flying, and then people save it while you're still busy playing, and there's lots of concert fouls that can happen with page turning. Also, page turners themselves can be terrible. Like you get the ones that sing while you're playing, you get the ones that get in your way, the ones that put their elbow in while you're trying to turn a page. It's amazing how badly you can turn a page. Yeah. And to now play with an iPad is great that we've alleviated all those smelly perfumes or whatever that they can have to distract you. That's amazing.
These are the things the audience members never knew were a problem.
No, you can't imagine how irritating a page turn can be. Yeah. So luckily, I've never had any of these tragic circumstances happen with a page turn. At the end of the day, it's not brain surgery, so it's not the end of the day if something goes a little bit wrong. Stop and fix it. But yeah, so far, I don't have any ridiculous stories of somebody throwing tomatoes at me in a concert. Or something. Good. You never know.
November 6th, then we'll get a good story. Something like that.
Well, sometimes pianos roll off stage, and a lot of times when they roll pianos on stage, if the stage crew is not careful, it's a big instrument and it keeps going. And if they're not really paying attention, a lot of times, especially with orchestra, they roll it right out to the edge. And there's a number of stories where the crew has not really been paying attention and they roll it off and it goes flying, falling into the front row of the audience. Wow. And that can cause a problem for.
That's a little scary.
There's another stage piano on backstage, maybe that can work, but often there's not. Yeah. So far, none of those things have happened to me.
Good. I saw a piano almost roll off the stage once, but they caught it just before.
And how many times that's happened is frightening. So.
Mm-hmm. What's something about you that people would be surprised about? Any special talents or hobbies?
Well, I would say my biggest hobbies is I really love tennis. I love to play tennis. I followed the tour a lot. Follow a lot of the guys. Been pretty into it for probably about 15 years. And so in my spare time, actually, since I've moved here, I haven't been able to play that much. But my older son's playing a lot more seriously now. He's on the varsity team at Fort Collins High School. So he's getting more serious into it. So I'm hoping by next summer I'll be able to play quite seriously again with him. I just haven't been able to get involved that much here, and it snows a lot, and it's been pretty cold outside. So, with COVID, everything's just been busy. But I love tennis.
Who usually wins?
What's that? Sorry.
Between when you play tennis together, who usually wins?
Oh, with my son.
Yeah.
He's starting to be able to take sets off me now. So I know I've got a feeling I'm not going to catch him for long. He's hitting a lot. He's very consistent. And I'm a bigger hitter than he is, but I'm so all over the place at the moment because I'm not regularly hitting. So anyway, it's great. And I wish I could play more, but at the moment I got lots of notes to practice.
Yeah. You've been in Colorado for 2 years. What are your favorite things about living here in Fort Collins?
Well, another thing that I've loved about being here, and then I just organized yesterday the skiing, in the mountains. We got our pass yesterday, so we've got the kids up, and one son's snowboarding, the other one's skiing, my daughter's skiing. So taking advantage of the terrain and the mountains, being here, and I don't go down the crazy blacks, and then I just go real slow with my kids on the blues and try not to crash into any trees. But I love being out there. It's a beautiful sport if you don't kill yourself doing something stupid. And so I'm trying to take advantage of that, being here in Colorado as well.
Any favorite restaurants you've found?
Oh, it's hard to go to restaurant. My little 6-year-old is a bit of a terrorist, so he's a bit of a pain to take to restaurants, especially fancy ones. So we haven't been to that many. We went to the one with all the dipping things.
Like the melting pot?
Yes, the melting
fondue
pot.
place. Yeah.
Yeah, the fondue place. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was cool. That was especially, we enjoyed that. And but with the kids, it's just much easier to get takeaways and so I love Indian food, and so I would love to explore more of the restaurant scene in Fort Collins, but with the kids and the chaos, it's just sometimes easier to avoid that at the moment.
Oh, the pandemic didn't make it any easier.
That didn't help either. No.
Brian, what's your favorite piece of non-piano music?
Favorite piece of non-piano music? I love the symphonic literature, and I learned a lot about piano playing by really getting into the symphonic literature when I was probably, I don't know, in my mid-20s. I decided I need to go and listen to everything that's non-piano, and it just gives your ear sort of a palette or an imagination to aim for, because everything in piano playing, pretty much everything we do is to try to make the piano not sound like a piano. So having an imagination of sound outside of what the piano can do really helps us push the boundaries of what you can do with sound on the piano. So, I love to listen to, and I like to go through cycles. Like I listen to all the Beethoven symphonies at a point. I listen to all the Mahler symphonies at a things like that. So I love the symphonic literature. I also love jazz. Like if I had time, if there was 5 extra hours in the day, I would love to study jazz and be able to do that. So I love Keith Jarrett and Brad Maldo and some of these Chick Corea, the jazz pianists and I like to listen to that piano playing because it's a different experience. A lot of times when I listen to piano music, I'm thinking, can I play this piece? What would I say with this piece? What do I like? What I don't like? When I listen to jazz, I know I'm not going to play it, or I'm just listening to enjoy it and love it. And so to have that experience with music is sometimes refreshing, because a lot of times most of the listening I do either to myself or to my students or to whatever's happening is always like from a controlling standpoint of what would I change? How can I make this better? How can I fix this? How can I change this? Always like working on it. And sometimes you forget to just sit back and listen to it and enjoy it and just let the music be. So that's in jazz is a step removed from the classical world that's easier to do that from.
Never thought of that, but I absolutely understand what you're talking about. I do the same thing when I'm listening to music, but I'll listen to jazz in a new way now.
Yeah, just because you don't have to. I'm not going to try to do that or play it, or just enjoying it for what it sounds like.
One more thing I wanted to talk about, because I think our audiences would be really really interested. Could you talk about your synesthesia project, and what is this for those that don't know?
Sure. Synesthesia is it's basically just a union of the senses. So just like anesthesia is without sensation, so anesthesiologists put you to sleep so you don't feel anything. Synesthesia is with sensation. So in my particular case, when I hear pitches, I see colors. So for me, I mean, I've got perfect pitch, but so when I hear D, I see yellow. When I see E, I see green. When F is gray, G is red. I've got a color for all the 12 different pitches that are there. And I was given a grant by the Scottsdale Center to try and realize what I sort of see in my mind's eye when I hear these sounds. And so I sort of drew some slides that moved in what the old times in Flash and Macromedia Flash and with Photoshop. I created some slides that moved between. It probably wasn't that interesting, but what I would love to do at some point is get some kind of a lighting coordinator to put real light. Like in a whole, because it's a very peripheral experience, and the way I did it was like brought too much attention to the colors. It was like that was the forefront of what was happening, and it's more of a peripheral experience. So if I could have like colors in the whole, but that are like in the background, but not like the focus of what's happening, and I think that would be more of the experience that I have with experiencing colors with the music that I play. That's my experience with synesthesia. And hopefully we can maybe do some projects at some point in the future where we might be able to replicate that experience.
Yeah, that's interesting that you say it's on the periphery, because I've also, whenever I've heard about it, I've imagined just like being like right there in the middle, but of course it's it's not that way.
Yeah, it's not there, but it's like it's like on the side. I mean, I can sense it in certain music, especially in the whole. You close the eyes, you can feel it. Certain notes have stronger colors depending on what's coming in, and sometimes it's overwhelming. So you can switch it off too. I mean, if I'm busy practicing and worrying about what notes are going, I'm not thinking about what color am I seeing. Yeah. But listening to it is a more interesting way of experiencing it when I'm not worried about what notes I'm going to play.
Yeah. Do you know the Synesthesia Suite by the composer Andy Akio?
I've heard of it, but I should check it out.
Yeah, it's very very cool music. I got the CD by accident actually, and I ordered another CD and it came with it.
Really?
There's a lot of steel pan. It's very 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 cool. Great music. Okay.
Yeah, you have to send me the name of that. I would love to check it out. There's a lot of interest in synesthesia now. There's lots of different types of it. People have taste shapes, and there's a lot of neurological science being investigated with the different kinds of ways the brain works and who has it and why. And so anyway, it's an interesting thing to explore.
Yeah. Is there anything else you want to mention to our audience before we close out today?
I don't think so. Just it's great to be playing real concerts again. I hope they can come out to the concert. It's still just you can never replicate, certainly online, what you can get in a real concert situation. And I think the audiences here are basically safe and vaccinated, and it should be a safe place to come. So please come out to the concert if you can. And I look forward to playing.
Yeah. Again, the concert is November 6th at the Lincoln Center in Fort Collins. 2 days before, on Thursday night, November 4th at 7:00, we do have our open rehearsal. So that's free and open to the public. And you'll get to see Brian and the orchestra rehearse for the first half of rehearsal. So that's also a great free opportunity to come see the music and get to see how the orchestra rehearses.
Great.
All righty.
Okay. Thanks, Jeremy.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Brian.